The Chosen One. God has a warning. You can't ignore. Stop everything you're doing right now. What you're about to discover will shatter everything you thought you knew about that one person you can't seem to forget. The universe itself orchestrated this moment, this exact second, for your soul to receive a message that could change everything. There's someone in your life right now, someone you've been fighting to release, someone you've tried to forget, someone who haunts your thoughts in the quiet hours of the night, and every fiber of your being is screaming, "Let them go, but what if I told you?" That's exactly what the darkness wants you to believe. Welcome back to the Light of Wisdom, where we unveil the hidden truths that govern your spiritual journey. I'm here to reveal something the universe has been desperately trying to tell you, but the noise of this world keeps drowning out. You see, there are forces at play in your life that operate far beyond the realm of human understanding. Ancient spiritual laws that were written in the fabric of existence long before your first breath. And one of these laws, one of the most profound and mysterious, concerns the souls that cross your path. Have you ever experienced this? A connection so deep, so inexplicable, that it defies every logical explanation your mind can conjure? You meet someone, and instantly, something shifts in the very core of your being. Not just attraction, not just chemistry, something far more ancient, something that feels like recognition. This isn't coincidence. This isn't your imagination playing tricks on you. This is the universe activating a spiritual contract that your soul signed eons ago, in realms beyond this physical plane. But here's where it gets dangerous. Here's where the cosmic forces begin their most insidious game. The moment you experience this divine recognition, this soul-deep knowing that this person is significant to your spiritual journey, the shadow forces mobilize. They whisper. They plant doubts. They orchestrate circumstances designed to make you believe you're delusional. They make the person hurt you, ignore you, reject you. Why? Because they know something you're only beginning to understand. They know that certain souls are bound together by threads of light that span lifetimes. They know that some connections are not random encounters, but divine assignments. And they will do everything in their power to prevent these spiritual contracts from being fulfilled. Think about it. How many times have you tried to walk away from someone, convinced yourself you're being foolish, only to find yourself pulled back by an invisible force you cannot name? You delete their number, but somehow you know it by heart. You avoid places they might be, yet synchronicities keep bringing reminders of them into your reality. You see their name on license plates, in books you randomly open, in conversations you overhear. You dream about them with a vividness that feels more real than your waking hours. Songs play that seem to speak directly to your connection with them. The sleeping souls of this world would call this obsession. They would prescribe medication. They would recommend therapy. But you, if you're truly awakened, you recognize these as something far more profound. These are divine interventions, cosmic breadcrumbs, spiritual GPS coordinates guiding you back to a path you're meant to walk, whether you understand it or not. But let me tell you something that might terrify you. The reason the universe keeps sending these signs, these warnings, these mystical breadcrumbs, is because time is running out. There are spiritual windows, sacred opportunities, divine timing that, once missed, may not come again in this lifetime. And the universe knows that if you abandon this connection now, if you let fear triumph over faith, if you choose the easy path of walking away, a piece of the cosmic puzzle remains forever incomplete. You carry light within you. But here's what most people don't understand about light. It's not meant to be hoarded. It's not a personal commodity for your own comfort and happiness. Light is currency in the spiritual realm. And certain souls, certain specific souls, were placed in your path because they need the exact frequency of light that you carry. Not just any light. Your light, the unique spiritual signature that was forged through your specific journey of pain, awakening, and transformation. If this message is resonating with you, if you're feeling that recognition in your soul right now, I need you to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because what I'm about to reveal next, about the spiritual mechanics of these divine assignments, will change everything you thought you knew about love, connection, and your purpose on this earth. Now, let's dive deeper into the mechanics of these spiritual contracts, because understanding how they work will give you the strength to endure what's coming. When two souls are bound by divine contract, they exist in what ancient mystics called spiritual entanglement. This means that regardless of physical distance, emotional barriers, or even conscious resistance, their energetic fields remain connected. What happens to one affects the other on levels they may not even consciously recognize. This is why you feel them even when they're not present. This is why their emotional state somehow influences your own. This is why when they're struggling, something in your spirit becomes restless. You're not codependent. You're not unhealthy. You're spiritually entangled, and that entanglement serves a purpose greater than either of your individual comfort zones. But here's where it gets complex. The person you're connected to may not be awakened yet. They may still be operating purely from ego, from fear, from the programming of this three-dimensional reality. They may hurt you not because they're evil, but because they're still unconscious. They may reject you not because you're unworthy, but because your light threatens the illusions they've built their identity around. This creates what I call the awakened one's dilemma. You see clearly what they cannot see. You feel deeply what they're afraid to feel. You recognize the sacred nature of your connection while they dismiss it as fantasy or coincidence. And in these moments, every human instinct tells you to protect yourself, to retreat, to give up, to find someone who can meet you where you are spiritually. But this is precisely when the universe sends its strongest warnings, not through words, but through an inexplicable knowing that settles in your bones. A voice that isn't quite your own whispering. Do not abandon them. Not yet, not now. Why? Because spiritual awakening is not a destination. It's a process. And some souls awaken not through meditation or study or spiritual practice, but through the persistent love of another awakened soul who refuses to give up on them. Your endurance, your faithfulness, your refusal to abandon them creates a frequency field around them that slowly dissolves the barriers they've built around their heart. You may never see it happening. The changes may be invisible to the naked eye, but in the quantum field, in the realm where thoughts become things and intentions reshape reality, your spiritual presence is working miracles. Think of it like this. Imagine you're holding a tuning fork that resonates at the frequency of pure love, pure truth, pure light. And imagine the person you're connected to is like a guitar string that's been tuned to fear, pain, and limitation. When you hold your tuning fork near that guitar string consistently, patiently, without forcing anything, eventually the string begins to vibrate in harmony with your frequency. This is called sympathetic resonance, and this is how spiritual transformation really works. Not through confrontation, not through trying to convince someone of their potential, but through holding such a steady, unwavering frequency of love and light that they have no choice but to eventually attune to it. But here's the part that makes this journey so challenging. The timeline is not yours to control. The process is not yours to dictate. Your job is not to awaken them. Your job is to remain awakened yourself, regardless of their response. This is where many chosen ones fail the test. They make the other person's awakening their personal mission. They lose themselves trying to save someone else. They sacrifice their peace, their boundaries, their own spiritual growth in the name of this divine connection. But the universe never asks you to destroy yourself for another person. What it asks is far more sophisticated than that. It asks you to love without attachment to outcome, to hold space without losing yourself in that space, to be faithful to the connection without being enslaved by it. The dark night of the soul phase. Now let me tell you about something that no one else will dare to speak about. The phase that every chosen one experiences when walking this path. The mystics called it the dark night of the soul. But in the context of these divine connections, it becomes something even more intense. There will come a time, and if you're truly on this path, you know exactly what I'm talking about, when the universe will test your faith in the most brutal way possible. Everything will seem to fall apart. The person you're spiritually connected to will seem to move further away from you than ever before. They might enter a new relationship. They might block you completely. They might act as if you never existed. And every sign, every synchronicity, every mystical breadcrumb that once guided you, they all seem to vanish. This is not coincidence. This is not abandonment. This is the ultimate test. The universe is asking you one final question. Do you trust me when there's no evidence to support your faith? Do you believe in this divine assignment when every human sense tells you it's over? Will you hold the frequency of love when love seems to have left you completely alone? Most people break during this phase. They curse God, they curse themselves. They decide they were delusional all along. They burn the bridges, delete the numbers, block the social media accounts, and declare themselves healed and moving on. But the true chosen ones? They understand that this is not the end. This is the chrysalis phase. This is when the real transformation happens, not just for them, but for the person they're connected to. You see, sometimes souls need to experience complete separation to understand the value of the connection. Sometimes people need to explore every other option to realize that what they're running from is exactly what their soul has been searching for. And sometimes, the universe needs to strip away all external validation from the chosen one, so their faith becomes unshakable, so their love becomes unconditional, so their light becomes so pure, so refined, so powerful, that when the reconnection happens, and it will happen, the spiritual impact is nuclear. During this dark night phase, you will be tempted to believe that you've been abandoned, that you misread the signs, that you're just another person who fell in love with someone who doesn't love them back. But listen carefully. If you are truly chosen, if this is truly a divine assignment, then even in the darkest moments, even when every human evidence suggests otherwise, there will be a small, quiet voice in the deepest part of your soul that whispers, "This is not over." That voice is not your ego. That voice is not your desperation. That voice is the universe itself, holding space for a story that hasn't reached its conclusion yet. The quantum mechanics of spiritual contracts. Let me share something with you that will shift your entire understanding of how these connections operate on the quantum level. In quantum physics, there's a phenomenon called quantum entanglement. When two particles become entangled, measuring the state of one particle instantly affects the state of the other, regardless of the distance between them. Einstein called this spooky action at a distance, and for decades, scientists couldn't understand how it was possible. What they've discovered is that consciousness itself plays a fundamental role in quantum mechanics. The observer effect proves that the very act of observation changes reality at the subatomic level. Now, apply this to spiritual connections. When two souls become quantumly entangled through divine assignment, their consciousness fields become permanently linked. Your thoughts, your prayers, your meditations, your energy work, all of this is constantly affecting the other person on levels that transcend physical space and time. This is why you can feel when something significant is happening in their life, even when you haven't spoken in months. This is why they suddenly reach out after you've spent days sending them love in meditation. This is why they make life changes that seem to mirror your own spiritual growth, even when there's no logical way they could know what you're experiencing. You are not just hoping they'll awaken. You are not just wishing they'll return. You are actively participating in their spiritual evolution through the quantum field that connects you. But here's where it gets even more mysterious. Time operates differently in the quantum realm. What seems like years of separation in this three-dimensional reality might be mere moments in the higher dimensions where your souls exist. The linear timeline that your human mind uses to measure progress. They've been gone for 6 months. It's been a year since we spoke. They're with someone else now. These measurements are illusions. In the quantum field, in the realm of the soul, the connection exists in a state of eternal present. This is why the signs keep coming. This is why the synchronicities never stop. This is why your dreams feel more real than your waking life sometimes. You're receiving information from a dimension where the outcome is already known, where the reunion is already accomplished, where the spiritual contract is already fulfilled. The activation codes. Now, I want to share something with you that might sound incredible, but if you've experienced what we've been talking about, you'll recognize the truth in these words immediately. Certain chosen ones carry what I call activation codes in their energy field. These are not metaphors. These are actual quantum frequencies that have the power to awaken dormant spiritual DNA in other souls. When you were born, when your soul chose to incarnate at this specific time in human history, you agreed to carry certain frequencies that would be needed for the global awakening that's happening right now. And the person you're connected to? They carry complementary codes. Frequencies that, when combined with yours, create something exponentially more powerful than either of you could access alone. This is why the connection feels so intense. This is why you recognize each other on levels that bypass the rational mind. Your souls are literally designed to activate each other. But here's the challenge. Activation codes can only be transmitted when both souls are vibrating at compatible frequencies. If one soul is operating from fear, from ego, from the lower vibrations of this three-dimensional reality, the codes cannot be transmitted. This is why the universe asks you to hold steady. This is why you're being asked not to give up. Your job is to maintain the frequency that allows the transmission to happen when they're ready to receive it. Every moment you spend in meditation, in prayer, in spiritual practice, you're refining your frequency. You're preparing for the moment when their soul says yes to the activation process. And when that moment comes, the transformation will be instantaneous and undeniable. The signs you've been receiving are confirmation that the transmission process is already beginning, that their soul is preparing for activation, even if their conscious mind is still resistant. Sometimes this means staying close. Sometimes it means stepping back. Sometimes it means loving them in silence while they figure out their own path. But it never means giving up your own spiritual journey for theirs. The signs you've been receiving, those mystical breadcrumbs we talked about earlier, they're not just telling you to hold on. They're telling you to hold on consciously, spiritually, with wisdom rather than desperation. You are not just holding space for a relationship. You are holding space for a spiritual awakening that will ripple through dimensions. You are not just waiting for someone to love you back. You are preparing for a reunion that was orchestrated in the realms of light before either of you took your first breath. If you've made it this far, if every word of this message has felt like it was written specifically for your situation, then you know beyond doubt that you're living out one of these sacred contracts right now. The question is, what are you going to do with this knowledge? Are you going to let fear convince you that what you're experiencing isn't real? Are you going to let the opinions of sleeping souls override the wisdom of your awakened spirit? Are you going to abandon a divine assignment because it doesn't look like what you expected? Or are you going to trust the process? Are you going to honor the spiritual contract your soul signed before you entered this physical realm? Are you going to become the kind of person who walks by faith rather than by sight? Before you make that choice, I need you to subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell. Because this journey, this path of the awakened one, it's not meant to be walked alone. You need a community of people who understand what you're going through, people who recognize the signs, people who can remind you of who you really are when the illusions of this world try to make you forget. The universe brought you to this message for a reason. Don't let that reason be wasted. Your divine assignment is waiting. Your spiritual contract is still active. And that person, that soul you've been wanting to give up on, they're still part of your story. Trust the signs. Trust the process. Trust yourself. And remember, you are not here by accident. You are chosen. You are awakened. And your light is needed in this world now more than ever. The universe is counting on you. Don't let it down. Until next time, keep your frequency high and your faith higher. This is the light of wisdom, reminding you that some connections transcend this physical realm, and yours is one of them.